Sir, I'm Sham and I have one question. When we talk about the home team and when we talk about how we have to, take hold of the Indic narrative and handle it, one thing that I notice is you need a scholarship or an intellectual backing to be recognized in journals and other places. And for that to happen, those centers are controlled primarily outside of India. So how do people who are interested in the Indic narrative and creating it from the traditional point of view get the academic credentials or the adhikaritva to actually contribute to work?
Excellent point. It's a chicken and egg. It's a chicken and egg. It's like there is, in the TV industry, there is content and then there's the channel of distribution. So if people control the channel of distribution, they will not allow our content. And what do we do if we want new content? It won't be allowed. So in the argument you've given, the new intellectual content is not being allowed in the old journals and conferences unless it conforms. And you will not be able to write a PhD in a university of that kind unless you are on their wavelength to some extent. Maybe you can say certain things but not beyond a certain point. So if I have innovative content and the channels don't accept it, I have to create my own channel. We have to create media channels, we have to create academic journal channels, academic conferences, and that is what the government should be doing. They should be creating, rather than funding foreign Indology, and rather than funding foreign guys and enhancing their power even more, what they ought to be doing is creating an annual Indian Indology conference in India, creating a huge journal of Indology in India with eminent Indian devotees of various traditions, people involved in the practice of those traditions. They should be given the funds to have world-class journals, not the people in Western Indology. And we should create a university like Nalanda. They revived Nalanda, gave it to Amartya Sen, and he was basically he was creating a very secular, atheist, left-wing social sciences to bash our tradition in the name of Nalanda. That's as ridiculous as giving the Adi Shankara legacy to some, Charvaks. It's completely ridiculous. Yet it was done. So we need to bring our dharmic ideas of higher learning back in India under the control, and we need to have a organization where Ramakrishna Mission has a member, some Peethams have a member, various other sampradayas and lineages have an appointment. So this kind of a council, this kind of a committee or trust, with this kind of a governing body, where our internal mechanism, the adhikaris are represented, and then we are doing Indology in that way. That is how I would go about it. It needs big money, and the government ought to be doing this.
Just one follow-up question, sir. As a common person who cannot exactly do all of this now, and as a person who's interested in, defending Indic scholarship, where do I get started?
Well, it depends on, if you're a common person with money to give, you can write us a check. We're always happy to do that. We're going to organize India, traditional scholars organization in between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and they'll need funding, they'll need conferences, we want every 3-4 months an event, a meeting. So we need some resources for that. If you are not in that mode, if you are somebody who's able to take the knowledge we are producing, like I'm producing, and turn it into blogs, turn it into videos, turn it into documentaries, turn it into user-friendly material, then that's something you could do. So I did a workshop in Bangalore. We had 83 people, how to be an intellectual Kshatriya. That was the purpose. And I gave them projects from my book, saying, okay, I have all these things identified. Each of you make groups. So 6 groups were made voluntarily. I left the room and they made their own groups. And each group came up with a work plan of what they will do based on this book. So if you find enough people interested in Chennai, you call me back, I'll do a workshop on how to be an intellectual Kshatriya. And we could start one group here.